Hey, good evening and welcome to Conversations with Camden, Life Outside the Classroom. Tonight, we're going to be talking about activities that take place outside the classroom, sports, clubs, other extracurricular activities. Here at Camden, if you've seen any of our material before, we like to, talk about developing the whole man. And definitely a lot of that takes place outside of the classroom. So we're going to discuss some of those things tonight, but we'll be happy to answer any other questions that any of our viewers may have as well. Um, we want to start off tonight and let each of our students, we have 4 cadets joining us, and because this is life outside the classroom, we have all kind of dressed down tonight into a club or sports shirt that we represent. So you're not going to see uniforms, but we will talk about that later if you would like. All right, we're going to let them start off with introductions, and we'll start off with Leo.
Hi, my name is Leo Eckhart. I'm from Vienna, Austria, and I'm a senior at Camden Military. This is my 4th year, but I've been here since the 8th grade.
All right. And how about Justin?
My name is Justin Wilson from Weddington, North Carolina. I'm currently in 11th grade, and I play football.
And then we have Jake.
My name is Jake Jerso. I'm from Nooka, Illinois, and I'm a junior, and I play track and field.
And then Sire.
My name is Ryan Sawyer. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm a sophomore. This is my 2nd year at Camden Military. I'm a part of weight room staff, and I also play track and field.
All right, cool. So as you can see, we have these guys are from all over the country. And here at Camden, we do have a pretty diverse campus. We've got about 37 states represented in about 13 different countries. So there's a lot of different interests here on campus, and we have all the clubs and activities to kind of support that. Physical fitness is really a big deal for us here at Camden. We try to keep these guys in shape and at least moving around and being active. And so that kind of leads us into sports. And so I do want us to talk about sports first because, we're guys and we all love sports. But I want to remind viewers that if you have a particular question, whether it be about life outside the classroom or academic questions, whatever you might have, you can submit those to any social media site. Just use the hashtag Camden Military and we will get to those. Again, that's hashtag Camden Military and we'll answer as many questions as we can during our time tonight. All right. So guys, I want to start off with a pretty easy question. Let's start off with Justin. We'll talk to you first about football. We had a pretty successful football year. So
Yes,
why don't you tell us a little bit about that? What position do you play and how did the season go?
Our season was actually great. We actually won our conference championship. I play wide receiver, a little bit of running back, and cornerback. I honestly had the best season out of the 4 years that I've been here.
Yeah. And football, like we said, we got the big trophy. I think we meant to bring it on the broadcast tonight, but forgot. But if you come to visit us, it's in our lobby. So we'll definitely have it there. Leah, we're going to talk to you next because you are on another exciting team this fall.
Yes, sir. Well, I run cross country as my 2nd year running cross country. I also wrestle, which I forgot to mention earlier. But we were state champions this year, and that was pretty cool. We worked pretty hard throughout the entire year. And last year we weren't as successful. We could have done it, but we just didn't work hard enough. And so this year we kind of took the failures from last year and improved on it and managed to become state champions.
Great. All right. And then I'm going to Jake and Sire. They're both track and field guys. I think more field than track. But Sire, tell me a little bit about what do you do out on the track field?
Jake and I, we do shot put, and that's about it, honestly. We don't do any of the other events right now.
So both shot putters, so both pretty strong guys. I think both you guys like to work out and lift a lot. So we're going to get to that part of it in just a bit. We'll throw it to Jake. As far as you're on your track and field, you're a shot putter, but do you feel like you're part of the team? Tell me about the teamwork and all that goes in here at Camden. We require all of our students to play sports, either interscholastic or intramural. But Jake, what's it like being on a team?
It's actually really a lot of fun playing with all the other cadets and stuff, especially since they're all we all live together, we're all around each other all the time. So we're all really motivated, and we usually really get after it at practice and stuff.
Yeah. So, you guys, you do live together all the time. That's a good point. So you're kind of like brothers. So, Leah, what's it like, running cross country or playing football with, your brothers all the time? You see these people. Does it make you bond easier or is it harder?
I think it makes you bond easier, and I think it's important too because in a lot of sports, especially with football, for example, teamwork counts for a whole lot. And so if you know these people so well because you live with them all the time and you eat with them, you have class with them, it's not like a normal school where all you do is, you go to class and practice and you go home and you live separate lives. You might hang out on the weekends, but here, because of the way that we live, I think it helps our teamwork tremendously. And it also helps our life in the barracks because we have that outlet in sports and we get to know each other differently through that as well.
All right. Well, we got our first question from YouTube, and I want to jump onto that. It has nothing to do with sports, guys. We're gonna pivot. This must be a parent question. It says they were here on a tour at Camden, and they want to know a little bit about the curriculum. So I'm going to answer from the administrator point, and then I'm going to let you guys talk about the actual classroom experience. But here at Camden, everything that we do is college preparatory. We do have honors. We have college courses, dual enrollment that you can take, small classes. And we also do not have a set curriculum that we teach or style that we teach in. Every student, we kind of individualize it and to meet his needs. So that's one thing that makes us really unique. But I do want these guys to kind of tell you a little bit about their classes. So Sire, tell me a little bit about your classes, like class size, classroom participation, interaction with teachers, that kind of thing.
The thing I absolutely love about the school is the class size. At my old public school, we would have 30 to 35 kids in a class. And if you were struggling, the teacher would just leave you behind because there's too many other kids that she needed to tend to. Here, the teacher will actually take his time and help you with what he needs to help you with.
Yeah. And how about Justin? Tell me a little bit about the dynamic with the teachers. All of our teachers, by the way, have to coach a sport or sponsor a club. So our cadets get to know the teachers outside the classroom. So Justin, talk a little bit about that. How does that does it make things easier in the classroom?
It actually makes it a whole lot easier, sir. Because like our my English teacher actually, he's a part of the debate club. And I have a couple of friends in there, and he sometimes comes into my room and we talk about stuff other than English. And that's something you really don't ever get in public school because it's always school, school, school. You never really have time to actually get to know your teachers. And I just really love that about the school.
Guys, I want to talk about grades because I have a feeling parents are wondering, I have a kid who's not doing so well. Casey just talked about college prep curriculum, college courses, my gosh, can my son do that? Let's start off with Leo. Tell me a little bit, how were your grades prior to Camden and how are your grades now?
My grades before coming here were not stellar, and it wasn't big for lack of understanding the material necessarily. I just really did not care. I didn't have the motivation necessary because it kind of only affected me, and college seemed so far away that my grades, to me at least in my mind, they didn't seem like they mattered. And so when I came back to Camden for my sophomore year, my grades, even if I would have continued to have that attitude, wouldn't have only affected me because of the way that we structure things like honor company and the way that our TAC officers run through things with honors and dean's lists and things like that. It affects the rest of your company too. So those 60 guys that live with you, the way that your grades turn out, it has an impact on their life and not just yours. And so because of that, my grades started improving. I was in a leadership position and I felt the need to lead by example because I didn't think it would be right to tell some kid to do his homework and then go in my room and play video games. So I would, try hard on my work so that I could help other kids try hard on their own work. And I think that's probably what motivated me the most to try harder in school. And I mean, now my GPA went from a 1.8 in ninth grade to my senior year. It's I think 3.89 or something. So it's definitely a tremendous help.
All right, good job. Sire, tell me a little bit about your grades prior to Camden and then how they've been since you've been here.
My grades prior to me coming to Camden were terrible. I lacked motivation and I simply just didn't care. I would always find myself in my room after I ate dinner or before I ate dinner, always picking up an Xbox controller or playing on my phone or ask my parents if I can go to the gym. here having a set time to do my homework, like from 7:30 to 9 o'clock at night, that just gave me motivation, and it gave me a set time to focus on my homework.
Good. All right. Keep those questions coming in. If you're watching us live, please post your questions to any social media with the hashtag Camden Military, and we'll get to as many of those questions as possible. Again, we're on YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. You post it with that, we'll get to it. Now, we do have a question from YouTube, and I'm going to direct this one down to Jake Jerza. And Jake, they want to know about post-class. So what happens during our free time every day here at Camden? What's free time like?
I mean, depending on your company, you might have like a formation, which only takes like 10, 15 minutes. But then you'll go on free time, and you're free to go to the Carla house and get some snacks or play video games because they have free Wi-Fi in there. And then also during like in the summer and in the spring, the pool is open. And also during free time, you either have practice or you can go to the weight room and work out, or go to the track and run. There's many things you can do.
Yeah. So every afternoon you'll have about 3 hours or so of free time. And if you do play sports, interscholastic sports, you'll have practices and things going on during that time. But if you do intramural sports, that may be held during that time as well. But you will have some time of just your own if you want to make a phone call or play the video games. And the Carlisle House, I'm going to let one of the students tell us about that too. Sire, why don't you tell us what the Carlisle House is and what do you do over there?
The Carla House is essentially a rec room where any cadet that is not on pad can go hang out with their friends, enjoy TV. We have a pool table in there, some foosball. You can buy snacks there, stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's basically just a canteen, game room, a hangout for the guys. And we have another question coming in from Twitter. I'm not sure, did any of you guys go to summer school? Just raise your hand if you did. Okay, so nobody. So I'm going to answer this question. It was a question that coming in, what can we expect from the summer program? At Camden, we have 2 tracks basically for our summer program. We have a high school track and a middle school. The middle school students would attend half-day academics and then have fun camp activities in the afternoon. The high school students would be all academics all day. So basically from 8:30 to 3:30 or so, they're in class, they're studying. They will all have study hall each evening. It is a non-military summer school, so that means we don't require uniforms. We do not require a haircut in the summer, but everything else is still pretty much in place. It's very hard for us to, I call it demilitarize our whole campus just for 6 weeks during the summer. So a lot of things run exactly as they would during the school year. So I hope that answered your question. Now, guys, I want to talk a second about other things on campus. We talked about the Carlisle House, but I want to talk about the weight room, which I know some of you like, and I want to talk about the tennis courts and maybe some sports that are not represented tonight. So we have 13 different sports that are represented and here on campus, and we are the Spartans, by the way, Camden Military Academy Spartans, and we travel all over the Southeast pretty much. A lot of in South Carolina, North Carolina, even some in Georgia. We won the conference championship in Tennessee this year. So we do travel a little bit to play our sports. We will play against other private schools and public schools. We like to beat those 3A and 4A schools when we can in the sports that we can. We're not going to compete with a 4A school in football because, of course, they have we have as many people on our football team, and they may have as many people on their football team as in our whole academy. So we don't want to play them. But more individualized sports, tennis, even soccer, we will play the larger schools. So we are pretty competitive when it comes to sports. We do have students that leave us with Division I and II scholarships as well. So something to think about. Question from Twitter coming in. Do you have to be in very good shape? And are there things you can do to prepare physically? I don't think you would take any preparation, but I'm going to ask these guys because they do the PT and participate. So Justin, you take that one. Did you have to be in shape to come, or anything they can do to prepare?
Honestly, sir, I didn't. I just came the way I was. No physical preparation was needed. But actually, I would like to add on to this. If you're a football player, during the time that you would be having PT, you have weight room training. It's around an hour and a half or an hour of where the whole football team gets together and you just lift weights.
All right. And I've got another question. So I want to get these questions that are coming in. It says, what seems to motivate you at Camden? What motivates you all to do your best and work hard? I know the answer to that, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to see if you guys are going to say it. We'll start out with Leo. What do you think actually gives you the extra motivation to succeed and work hard here that maybe some guys can't get at home?
I think I said this earlier with leading by example, but for me, it's really important to do the right thing so that I'm in a justified, I guess you could say, position to tell others what to do. Because the way that the school works is you attain rank as you go along, and so to me, there's different ways to lead, but I've through my experience here learned that leading by example is not only most effective but also the most reasonable way to lead. And so I like to be as good as I can for the guys that I have in my unit to kind of lead them, but by example.
Okay. And Sire, how about you answer the kind of the same question? What do you think motivates you here that maybe didn't motivate you when you were back at home?
I'd say being in a leadership position, leading by example. Like I can't do the wrong thing, turn around and then yell at over 30 kids to do something I just did. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, seeing how proud what I do here, it makes my parents very proud when I accomplish here.
Good. And I'm going to, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Leo.
I forgot to mention something earlier, and that doesn't really get me as much anymore, I guess, because I'm so in the groove. But we have something called write-ups here. So if you don't do your homework in class, your teacher writes it on a little slip, and your TAC officer gets it, your chain of command gets it. And so if you don't do your homework, you'll get demerits, which at first isn't really much, but they'll pile up, and they'll affect your ability to go home on weekends, and eventually they'll also affect your free time because you'll get tours if you continuously get written up in class. And so I think that we have this this positive reinforcement, but we also have negative enforcement. And so I think at home, if you don't do your homework, all right, big deal. No one's going to really care other than, you should because of your grades. But here, it affects the rest of your life too. It affects your free time positively and negatively. And I think that that's something that you don't necessarily get at home.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, that was kind of the silver bullet I was talking about earlier. And a couple of you or somebody hinted on it earlier. Every action you have here or do here is going to have a consequence, and it's going to be positive or negative, and it's going to affect you and everyone else that you live with in your barrack. In several different ways. People would like to win honor company because you get extra privileges for that. But as Leo just mentioned, it may prevent you from going home for a weekend that you were looking forward to going home, or maybe something as simple as you don't get to go to Chick-fil-A this afternoon because you did something wrong in class or in the barracks. So another question about cuts says, does everyone have to try out, and does everyone necessarily make the team? Justin, how about you take that one?
Everyone automatically makes a team except for varsity basketball, but nobody's guaranteed playing time, and that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone tries out. We want to see the ability that you have. But say if a student starts at Camden and they've never played soccer and that's something they want to try, something they want to learn, they're more than welcome to. Again, though, as Justin pointed out, we want to be competitive, so we're going to put our best guys out on the field. But yes, you will still get to experience what it's like to be on a team. Follow-up question to that was, do you offer basketball? And Justin just said yes. We have varsity basketball. So we have middle school, JV, and varsity. And that goes for most of the things. I mean, most of the sports, we will have the 3 levels of competition there. Last question from I think it said YouTube is haircut regulations. What's the haircut regulations? There've been some changes with that. We went through a time where we allowed them to have a little longer hair. Then we went to having mostly buzz cuts, and now we're kind of transitioning back. However, you do have to keep it short. We're not going to have ponytails. We're not going to have man buns. I promise that. But Leah, why don't you describe what the haircut policy is?
Well, I think within the current standing of the regulations, it's that it's not allowed to touch your ears on the sides, and it's not allowed to exceed, I think, 2 inches on top. But as Mr. Robinson just mentioned, that regulations have been changing a lot recently, and I tend to keep my hair pretty short, right about this length, so I don't really worry too much about it because I'm usually fine.
Yeah, you can actually see, Sire has a little longer hair, Jersa has a little longer hair. So we allow you that we have a barber here on campus, and he can cut your hair, or you can go in and have someone in town cut your hair. Some of the cadets joke sometimes about our barber, saying that, you can go in and request a certain haircut, but when you come out, you all look the same. So some guys will choose to go into town to get that trim. Now I'm going to switch to other athletic fields. I started to get to that earlier, and other athletic facilities on campus. So, Sire, start telling me about that weight room. I know you love it, so tell me, kind of describe what you like to do in there.
Now the weight room isn't as big as a giant public schools, but it's definitely nice enough for activities in there. The weight room staff's done a nice job of keeping it clean and organized this year. We just bought a brand new cable machine in there, put that in there.
All right. And tell me about some other facilities we have. Like, we're putting in a new tennis court. And we had a tennis player scheduled to be here tonight, but the flu has hit Camden Military's campus. So we have a bunch of guys confined to the infirmary, and that happened to be one of our tennis players. Jerza, what do you have to say about the weight room? What's your opinion of our weight room? I know you like to spend some time in there as well.
It's actually, I mean, like Brian said, it's not as big as like some public schools, but it's actually kind of nice having it be like not huge, because I mean, you get to bond a little bit more like with the people that you live with all the time, and it's not just you're just only working out, you're also getting to work out with your friends and the people you're always with all the time.
Yeah. And I would say when these guys are working out, the weight room is not the library. It's not the quietest place on campus. I often hear loud music blaring, and some wear headphones, so it gets pretty much like your typical weight room over there. Speaking of tennis courts, I mentioned that we are replacing our tennis courts now. Camden's a big tennis town, and Camden Military will be, we believe, the only high school in the state to have clay courts once those are installed. So if it would ever quit raining here in the South, we would be able to complete those tennis courts and put them to good use. I want to show you a brief video about our sports. We had some success, so you'll see at the beginning of this video some football. At the very end, we end it with some cross country. But I just want you to take a brief look at some of the things that happen on our sporting events. All right, and welcome back. I want to remind everybody again, if you have any questions you would like to have answered tonight, just use the hashtag Camden Military. Use any of the social media platforms that you saw on that last screen there, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You put it out there, we'll find it. And it can be anything. We're talking about focusing on life outside of the classroom, and we've talked about sports a good bit. So guys, I want to kind of transition a little bit over to other things that happen here on campus. We have everything from Boy Scouts to Civil Air Patrol, key clubs, different organizations like that. So I'm going to let's let Sire start talking and tell us a little bit about the Key Club. I think you're involved in that.
So I'm a member of the Key Club. Some of the events that we've done this year so far, as a club, we've went to set up a local breakfast for the Kiwanis Club. Some of our members, I think Wilson, has gone to a local retirement home and passed out some flowers for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so Key Club is basically a community service, do-gooder organization for young people, and they do a lot of good work here in the community. We are involved in our community. We've had some guys before, set up for different festivals in town. Jerza, didn't you help out with something recently?
Yes, I did. Recently, I helped out with the UNICEF stuff, which was we all got together and put in $10 for UNICEF to help get rid of like tetanus in some countries. And then also back in the fall, I helped out with a few other people in Key Club, setting up a 5K and a 10K race. We helped pass out water to the runners.
Yeah. One big thing that's I think all of our cadets enjoy is each spring we open our campus up to the public schools in the area and host the Special Olympics here on our campus. So all the Special Olympians come from all over the county to Camden Military for a day of competition, and it's really a great event. And we have a number of our cadets that are able to help out with that each year, and it's a great experience. It's great. Trust me, our cadets have just as much fun as those athletes who are out there, and it's a great day had by all. But we do believe giving back to your community is important. And so, if we have any locals watching tonight, if you want us to help you in any way, just give us a shout, and we'll try to make it happen. We're getting a lot of questions coming in live, so I'm going to look away for a second and pick up on some of these. All right, guys, this is a good question from YouTube. It says, I'll be coming into Delta Barracks. Can someone give me an opinion of how Delta is? Let's see. We don't have any Delta boys. Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, yeah. Okay, Wilson, go ahead.
Delta's honestly a mix between chiller, more laid back company and a more company that's all about military. So like you'll have a decent amount of free time in Delta company, but then if you mess up somewhere, you're definitely gonna get punished for it. Actually, Delta has the newest barracks. I think it was built 2 years ago, if I'm correct, and yeah.
Yeah, so that is a big benefit of being in Delta Company. Charlie and Delta are our two newest barracks on campus. We have barracks that predate World War II, and we have barracks that, as he said, were just completed. So it's kind of random where you're put. We have a certain unique way of placing you in a barrack. We're looking for personality. We're looking for spots available, actually. Someone else, because your roommate's going to be someone else your own age. But yeah, that's definitely a big benefit to C&D is the age. Another one from YouTube. Are there accommodations for students who struggle to focus in a normal public school setting versus here at Camden? Would you guys say there are less distractions here at Camden? And Sierra, we'll let you take that one. Sire, I'm sorry.
So there's a lot less distractions. Personally, due to the smaller class size, it's about half the class size of a normal public school. We also have systems as we have learning center and we have tutorials every day.
All right. Yeah, I think you'll find I've had numerous families visit the campus over the years, and as they walk through our academic building, comment on how quiet it is in the academic building compared to some public school halls that they visit and things. So I think you'll find far less distractions here. And guys, I think you'll agree. They might not like this, but with no girls on campus, that takes away a lot of distraction right there. Jerza, talk to me about your platoon leader, I believe, and tell me a little bit about what the room expectations are in your barracks for cleanliness and the formations that you guys have.
Well, for the rooms, depends on the day, but for most of the time, they have to be up to a really high standard. And I mean, the beds have to be made, no wrinkles. The trash has to be taken out, the floors vacuumed, all your stuff needs to be put away neatly, clothes all folded and hung up. And then for formations, I mean, you gotta come out there when we call it on time. And I mean, you have to, do what you're supposed to, not move and adjust and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So there's a standard that everyone has to meet. And when you meet those, you'll receive, merits or good points. And when you don't, you'll receive some demerits. And of course, the more merits you have, the more privileges you have. So you want to make sure you maintain as many merits as possible. All right, next question. This one's also from YouTube. I'll be coming to Camden next year. Tell me one thing I can look forward to. How about Leo? We'll go back to you for that one.
I think what you can look forward to, the one thing you can definitely look forward to is living in a barracks. It's definitely a culture shock from living at home. I mean, even if you have siblings, living with 60 guys in one building and then having 2 TAC officers in that night guard and your day guard, it's an experience, and it's a great one. So.
Yeah. Follow-up question is, did any of you guys find it hard to bond with your peers when you first arrived? Was it hard to fit in, or was it pretty easy? And Sire, you came to us from New York, so tell us about that.
It was a big culture shock coming from the north all the way down to the south. And to be honest, I didn't know what to expect out of a military high school. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was, to be honest. But the more time I spent here, the more time I spent around the guys here, it was really a good experience.
Yeah. Well, ask Justin the same question. Did you find it hard to make friends? Because you were young when you first come into Camden. So was it hard for you to make friends, or did you just kind of fit in?
Um, Actually, like Casey was saying, I came here in 7th grade, so I was really young. Um, but honestly, it was really easy for me to find friends because I had my squad leader. He came in there, helped me clean up my room, get everything set up, and he just uh, helped me meet other people inside the company. And as long as you stay like in the same company, you're gonna form bonds with literally almost everybody in the same barrack as you. And it just literally makes for the best friends that you ever have in your life.
Yeah. All right. Now, I want to. What percentage of Camden graduates become officers or enlist in the military? How many of you guys raise a hand? Are thinking about a military career at some point? Maybe one, two. Okay. So, Leo, let's go with you first. Kind of tell us your plan for after Camden.
So I'm going to take a year and go to Russia to study the Russian language. I'll be living in Russia, and I'll go to a language institute. So it's not going to be like a traditional gap year. I'll still be going to class and things like that. And then after that year, I'll be going back to South Carolina to the Citadel and to get my degree there. And then right now I'm kind of at odds with myself with what branch I should go to, or if I should go into law enforcement of some sort. But I'm leaning towards Army, so that's probably where I'm going to end up going.
And Sire, I think I saw your hand go up as well. So are you thinking about a military career at some point?
I'm thinking about it. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do yet, but it would be cool to be an MP or just a normal civilian police officer.
All right, good. So you've got a couple of years left. You have a little time to think about it.
Yes, sir.
All right, and I want to point out, you heard Leo say that he's going abroad or whatever to do the language school, but he's coming back to South Carolina. So I think Sire said earlier it was culture shock when you hit the South. They always come back though. So we'll probably have Sire down here somewhere soon too. All right. They ask about the drill team, and I think we have a blackjack, right? Justin, I think you're on the blackjack drill team. Tell them about that.
The blackjacks is literally just our regular formation, regular drill, but on a whole bunch of steroids. You learn how to spin rifles, drill even better than anybody in the whole company, and it's literally some of the best times I've ever had at Camden.
All right, and to add on to that, in 2015, we were the national champions.
Oh yes, sir.
And
I
that
was
was
part of that, by the way.
competing against, yeah, that was competing against other high schools and colleges. So pretty proud of these guys.
Yes, sir.
How much does the average cadet spend per week on incidentals? So we give the cadets an allowance every week. They actually pick that allowance up in cash, and they're able to spend that at the Carlisle House, or maybe if a teacher takes them out to eat or to the store. We call the Walmart our local mall of Camden that we take them to. So that's primarily what they spend their money on. But let's have Jersa. How much money do you get per week, and do you need more? You might want more, but do you really need more?
I get $10 a week, and I mean, I want more, but I don't need more. I mean, I could spend it on snacks and stuff. I usually don't. I kind of save it for, like Casey said, when I go off campus with the teacher, or when I go off campus for sports, so I can go out to eat. Or on Sundays, we started doing Walmart trips, so I usually save my money for them.
Yeah. And if the maximum amount we want a student to have in cash is $30, we don't want to get into a situation where students are letting other students borrow money, or you have students that they leave their wallet laying around, the money disappears. So if you want them to have a debit card or something like that, so if we do take off-campus trips, and we have a number of times we go off campus throughout the year, instead of having to constantly send him additional money, you could just give him a debit card or credit card and keep that on him as well. Sire, how much money do you get per week?
I get $20 a week. It's probably more than I deserve, but yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer
You
to
know,
save my
most.
money for.
Go ahead.
I prefer to save my money for when I go home, as opposed to spending it on snacks and stuff here. But if I do get a chance to get off campus on like a Sunday for a Walmart trip, I will spend some money on that.
Yeah. And again, you hear Walmart, I'll tell you, that's the place to go, especially on Sundays. All right. Guys, we're going to have kind of switch over to a serious topic real quick here. It says drugs and e-cigarettes are a major problem at the public high school they attend now. Is Camden different in that respect? I'm going to give a brief answer, and then I'm going to let a student answer. One thing I like to tell all our parents, we do not live in a bubble. So we do experience a lot of the same problems that public schools experience. However, they're on a much smaller scale. Do guys here have jewels? Absolutely. Do they get in trouble for it? Absolutely. One thing I can say is that this year we've only dismissed one student for testing positive for drugs. We do random and suspicion drug testing. We've only dismissed one student. So I don't think you would find that in any public school setting. So feel pretty good about that. But guys, what do you think? What do you think the climate is on campus as far as vaping and drugs? And Leo, we'll start with you.
Well, I never really went to a public school in the United States, but the school that I went to in Austria was an American school. And so based on my experience there and the differences to the school that we have here, it's that the teachers there, some of them don't really care, and the others can't really do much about it. As long as you don't have it in the classroom, you're kind of good. But here we have our TAC officers, we have the commandant, and even our teachers. If you have if you have one of those things in class, then not only is it gone, but like you're getting in a huge amount of trouble. If kids, if you're selling jewels to people and things like that, then word gets out, and then people will go to the TAC officer and say, this person has XYZ in the room, and your room will get searched. They'll find it, and you'll get in trouble. And so, because things are actively done about it, it does significant. It doesn't do it. It puts a significant dent into the problem. It doesn't completely solve the problem, because that's more or less impossible, but but it's definitely a lot smaller of a problem than you would probably have at your normal school.
Yeah, I mean, for example, we bring drug dogs in, and we search rooms, as Leo said, especially after breaks, when students come back after breaks, or maybe just when they've been off campus. But just want to make sure that those things are staying outside of Camden. But again, they're everywhere. We take trips. We go to DC. We go whitewater rafting and snow skiing, and the real world is there. So we try to teach our guys to be responsible, use their brain, think about things before they act. And one thing that I'll touch on, Leo said, guys will talk. A lot of time girls get the bad rap for like to talk a lot, but guys like to talk. So and I tell every student that I interview at Camden this: if you do something wrong, we're going to find out about it. It might not be instantaneously, but it will be very, very soon thereafter, and you'll suffer the consequences of whatever that might be. All right, I have a question coming in now, and another one that says, were any of you reserved about attending Camden? And do you think it was a good idea? Was it the best decision maybe that your parents could have made for you? Jerza, how do you feel about that? Were you reserved, and was it a good idea?
I definitely think it was a good idea for me to come here. I was hanging out with the wrong group of friends, and my grades were starting to drop. And I think if I didn't come here, my grades would have kept dropping, and I don't know where I'd be right now. But now, like, I'm here, and the teachers are very helpful. I have time to do my homework during study hall, and there's no distractions like we talked about earlier.
Yeah. All right, good. How about, let's hear from someone else. Let's hear from Sire on that. Was it hard for you to come? I know you said you didn't quite know what to expect, but were you reserved about coming, scared about coming, and are your parents proud now?
Yes, my parents are extremely proud of me. I was extremely nervous about coming here because I didn't know what to expect at all. I didn't know if it was going to be like in the movies or completely some completely different.
Yeah, the movies have a way of kind of putting a negative stereotype on a lot of military schools. So we hope that everyone doesn't judge us by the movies. But a lot of people, prior to arriving on our campus, they do, kind of have the movies in mind. So they're looking for barbed wire and armed guards and that kind of thing. And that's just not us here at Camden at all. Someone is asking a question about bullying. How is bullying at Camden? We will let's Wilson take this one.
Honestly, my experience at public school it wasn't really good. I used to get bullied all the time. But honestly, here at Camden, there's still a slightly amount of bullying, but as soon as it happens, it gets taken care of. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to find bullying again, kind of like drugs and e-cigs and things. They're going to be everywhere. But again, we're able to respond to it. And one thing these guys have talked about earlier was the chain of command and their ranks and things like that. And if you have a rank here, it becomes your responsibility to take care of those under you. So if something's going on with those guys, you have the responsibility to let us know. So even if the student that say the bullying is happening to is not coming forward to administration, the other students with higher rank are going to let us know. So it's something that is zero tolerance here at Camden. Another question coming in: cell phones and social media, is that a problem at Camden? How do you deal with it? We are one of the few schools, especially military schools, that allow cell phones, laptops, video games, electronics, all that stuff to come in. Our philosophy with that is that we want these young men to be prepared when they go off to college. The average length of stay for a student at Camden is about 2 years. So if a student is with us for that amount of time, we want to take that time to teach them how to use social media responsibly, as well as have that cell phone and use it responsibly. There's a time and place for everything, and that's what we're trying to teach these young men. And so far, I think we've done pretty well with that. Guys, have you noticed any problems with social media or cell phones? And Leo, I think we'll go back to you for this one.
Well, I think I have an interesting perspective on this because I do the social media for the school, or at least a lot of it. But I think my first year here, we were allowed to bring our phones to class, and back then you kind of had some difficulty with social media and kids, trying to hide their phone from the teacher and things like that. But the year after that, Colonel Lawing got here, and he's now our commandant of cadets, and he made a rule that if you bring your phone to class, it'll get taken for 2 weeks the first time and mailed home the next time. And nobody wanted to lose their phone for that long. So after that, phones in class were just no longer an issue.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are certain places on campus where the phones can't go. But you can have those phones. I tell guys all the time, when you go to class, leave them in your room, let them charge. So when you get out of class, you have that time to text or play games, whatever it is you want to do. How often do you get to take trips off campus besides just going home for breaks? So let's talk about some trips that you guys have been on, and we will go with Wilson on that one. Tell us about some of the trips that you've taken with the school.
Some of the trips that we've taken with the school, I've been on both ski trips, where we go to Winter Place, which is in Princeton, West Virginia, and I'm going to the second Florida trip. We have one other Florida trip, a Washington D.C. trip, whitewater rafting trip in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think I'm missing a couple, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so basically we have like 11 trips scheduled throughout the year. We also go to NBA games, NFL games. I've taken to these guys to some collegiate games. University of South Carolina is about 30 minutes away, so we go over there and see some SEC action. We will not take you to Clemson, though. I'm kidding. If you're a Clemson fan, we might find someone to take you to the upstate, but it just won't be me. Okay, I want to go back to kind of life outside the classroom, and I want to show a video now about some things that we do outside of the classroom. So take a look at this, and we'll see you on the other side. right, so there's going to be some unique things for you to become involved in while you're here at Camden. You saw a drum and fife corps that we have. You saw the guys carrying the stretcher. That's the Civil Air Patrol. There's a lot of cool things that happen, and we encourage you to get involved. We want you to stay as engaged and plugged into the school as possible, because you're going to be happier. You're going to get off campus more. You're going to go out to eat more. But plus, it feels good to belong to something, and that's always a good thing. Another question coming in live we want to get to, it says, can someone describe the uniforms? Who can describe the uniforms? Let's leave it to my public affairs officer, Leo Eckhart. Don't get too detailed, Leo, but go in and tell us the different uniforms that we have here at Camden.
Yeah, all right, sir. Well, we have 7 uniforms, and we have variations of each. But the basic uniforms are, we have a PT summer and winter uniform. The summer being essentially shorts and a t-shirt. The t-shirt is tucked in. The winter uniform just being a pair of sweats. Then we have a travel uniform, which is your khakis with a polo shirt, which used to be made by Nike, but we're switching over to Under Armour now. It says Camden Military Academy on it and has the logo of that company on the other side. Then we have our class uniform, which is essentially a gray button-up shirt and blue pants with like a black seam and leather shoes that you have to shine. You get a hat with that as well, and you wear your rank and a name tag. And then we have a dress uniform, which how do I best explain this? It's essentially it's like the class uniform, but the pants are white, and you have a blue overcoat with your rank like stitched on the sleeve. You have one of those like big round hats, kind of like police officers wear, with the school crest on the front of it. And then all your awards are on there as well. And then there's other variations of those which kind of give us more than those 6 I just named, but those are the basic uniforms.
Yeah. So and like I said tonight, these guys have been in uniforms all day. Oh, go ahead, Leo. Go ahead.
I forgot one more. We have the camouflage pattern, which we wear for bad weather, or also known as the ACU, the Army Combat Uniform. We have a school patch for that. That's it.
Yeah, I was hoping to see that today. We actually woke up in South Carolina to a little bit of snow action this morning. It came down. Did any of you guys see the snow? Pretty cool. We never see snow here, so it was nice, and then it warmed up today, but it'll be 80 tomorrow probably. But anyway, want to start wrapping things up. But if you still have questions out there, guys, and you're watching, please use the hashtag Camden Military. We'll still get to those questions and respond to you. But also email. You can send an email from our website, camdenmilitary.com. Send an email. We will respond to that. A direct email address to myself is admissions, ADMISSIONS @camdenmilitary.com. And if you want to ask these guys questions, just send them to that admissions email or to the one on the webpage, and we will get the questions to these guys and they can answer you. Also, remember to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have the students helping us run those this year, and it's looking really good. We have Snapchat stories. Instagram stories. We're Snapchatting. We're actually going to have a Snapchat Q&A, kind of very similar to this, except just on a different platform. So we got a lot of exciting things happening here at Camden. So make sure you stay tuned. I want to finish with one question, guys, and I'm going to ask all of you the same one. What's the biggest change that you've seen in yourself since you've been at Camden? And how have your parents responded to that change? All right, so we're going to start out with Sire. Tell me the biggest change you've seen in yourself and how your parents responded.
Before I came here, I had absolutely zero self-discipline. I wouldn't police myself. I wouldn't motivate myself to do anything. By coming here, I have a strong sense of self-discipline.
Good. All right, Jersa, your turn. Biggest change and how have your parents responded?
The biggest change is I was very lazy back at home. I wasn't very involved with much sports or outside school extracurricular activities. And my parents have been very proud of me for everything that I've done this year and last year, getting more involved with school and bringing my grades up and being more motivated and more active.
All right. Wilson, your turn.
Honestly, the biggest change that I've seen in myself is I'm probably one of the most mature 15-year-olds I've ever seen in my life. But because I have people come up to me all the time and say, dude, how old are you? And I'm like 15. They're like, it's crazy. But And honestly, I just feel like Camden just changed me in that way. And my parents have honestly showed me a lot of love for that.
Okay, and Leo, you get to close this out.
For me, it's like Sire just said, it's the self-discipline and the effect that it's had on the rest of my life in general. So if when your self-discipline gets better, it takes over your entire life. You know, your grades get better, your room gets cleaner. When you go home, you don't get in as much trouble because you're able to control yourself. And so I think my parents respond to that positively as well, because my relationship with them got better because, you know, my entire life essentially just improved through self-discipline, and that stemming from multiple things at the school kind of driving me towards that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Good job. I do want to get to a few last questions here that came in. It says, is there church on Wednesdays? You can go to church on Wednesdays if your grades and behavior allow. We do not have an on-campus church service on Wednesday, but our chaplain takes students off. Another one, also, how are ranks classified at Camden, and how do you get promoted? Sire, let's take that one. Quick answer to how you get promoted.
How you get promoted is you don't do the bad thing, do the right thing.
Who promotes you? Justin,
your
go
chain
ahead.
of command will put in.
Honestly, the way my old tag officer used to tell me how I get ranked is do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. That's all I gotta say.
That's an excellent quote to remember. So, and actually to live by. So, all right, guys, you all did a great job. I want to thank all of our viewers for watching. Please remember to look at some of our other social media. And I meant to give Justin a shout out earlier. There's actually a ski video on our YouTube channel that he made and created. So shout out to him for that. And I think Eckhart's made some videos for us before, and these other guys are up and coming. So we'll be looking for big things ahead. I want to thank you guys again for joining us, and we'll hope to see you in Camden soon. Have a good evening.